got some guys on the sidelines that have come back here at some point this year to be able to give us some help as well. So, you know, the backups are inexperienced, and you know, our job is to not only get the starters to play at a high level, but to have the backups be able to go in and hold things together as well. And I think we're on our way to doing that.
Getting thinking on the situational versus just putting the ball down and playing. Is the change in that a little bit just because of the differences in the way you practice now, or is it because you think you get more done in the situational versus just playing?
You got to teach them the situational stuff. You want a combination of both. You know, we're having less tackle days than I have in like a decade. You know, usually we have 8-10 days where we're going to tackle. You know, that's ample time to be able to get as many different situations as you want, and you know, allow them to be able to put the ball down and drive as well. We got 4 this year. We got half as many as we've had. So you know, we focused on the situational stuff the last 2 days. You're still going to get situational stuff in those put the ball down and scrimmage days as well. You're just not going to get as many of them. So we're teaching them what these situations are, and then we got to put the ball down, play it, and then you get into those situations throughout the course of an actual scrimmage, which we will do Tuesday and we'll do on Saturday as well.
Jake talked a lot about in situational third downs. You guys weren't as good last year as you wanted to be.
Is that offense, not defense?
Yeah, certainly. But is that a big emphasis of what you're doing in this situational stuff?
It is. Yeah, it is. And then you know, just the maturity of my decision making. Working with Jake and then Will as well, there's a lot of areas of the field where, you know, if you just get half of what it is, then you're going to have another opportunity on potentially 4th down. We got to figure out what our range of our kicker is, you know, where Billy feels comfortable pooch punting, that sort of thing. A lot of things go into it. So we're just working through some of that stuff and, you know, working on the kicking game aspect of it as well. So and there's no better way to do it than to put the ball down and play and see what happens. So I think we got better at it yesterday and feel good where we're at. Overall, you know, defensively we were really good. Defensively we were really good on 3rd down last year. Didn't mean we were good on defense. We were just good on 3rd down. What's ironic about it is bad on offense, good on defense. 4th down is just the opposite. Really good on offense, bad on defense. You know, so we were putting a lot of 4th down situations out here the other day as well. If we can merge the two, you know, then we'll be where we need to be.
Overall, are you happy with where you're at?
Yeah, I'm good with where we're at right now. You know, the energy's been good. You know, work's been good. You know, this is the hardest part of what our camp's going to be right now. You know, we only have 3 more days of camp, and then school starts. You know, so tried to have a long day yesterday, and you know, everybody's sore today, but we got to get up and we got to get a lot of work done. And the next day's got to be the same thing, and the next day's got to be the same thing, and then we got to shift gears a little bit, you know. So I'm happy up until this point. It's a whole nother animal when these kids got to go to school, you know, and then getting them to show up here in the afternoon after going to school and refocusing them on continuing to get work done. And then we get into a game week situation that's practice prior to a game week situation, which is the real deal. So it goes fast, you know, and it's going to be upon us before you know it. So at this point right now, I'm good where we're at.
Hey, Dana, in a roundabout sense, what's the difference with what you do offensively if you have 2 slot receivers versus slot and tight?
Well, there's differences clearly. I mean, it's an extra gap in the run game. You know, so the blocking schemes are going to be different. We can call the same run play, but it's a different scheme based on an extra gap and where somebody's aligned, which always means the defense is going to align differently as well. So, but with that said, you know, we can call things the same thing. It's just that we got to identify what the fronts are and, you know, how many are in the box and who's accounting for who. I mean, it can change slightly, but you know, a lot of the pass game stuff can stay the same. A lot of the run game stuff can stay the same. Just minor tweaks as far as how we're accounting for the extra body and who on our, you know, who on offense is going to account for that. It's not always the tight end that's accounting for that extra body just because he's in the backfield. I mean, it can change all kinds of fronts and stuff. So, you know, I like the extra gaps and the tight ends and stuff because it allows you to kind of scheme some people up a little bit as opposed to it just being spread offense the whole time.
Being as multiple as you guys can be, how much of it do you take into any given game?
Well, pretty much all of it. You just can't have a whole bunch of presentations on the same offense. You know, I mean, you just change things up from week to week based on what you feel like you can do and what you feel like you can handle. You know, we got a lot of offense. You can't be good at all that stuff. You can't practice all that stuff. So you just got to try to focus on what you feel like you can handle.
Besides having the best curveball on the team, what has Jesse Bill brought so far in the limited amount?
Yeah, he's learning the game. I mean, there's a whole lot of examples. I mean, Brandon Whedon didn't do anything for Oklahoma State for 2 years because he was getting back in the swing of things. Very, very rare is it that those guys just pick up where they left off, whether it was junior high or high school. You know, so he's learning. He's a good kid. He understands it's a little bit of a process for him. I've been excited with him due to the fact that he hasn't just gotten frustrated, you know, because everything's just so new. I mean, I've dealt with a couple of baseball players. I've dealt with a couple of basketball players that come over and try to learn the game, and just because you look the way you look doesn't mean you know how to do anything. You got to start with teaching them how to get in a stance, because they don't know how to get in a stance. They don't know what a 5 technique is. I mean, so good kid, glad he's here. He's got a long ways to go.
Dana, how has Toyas responded after a year he self-admittedly would like to forget?
Good. He's been out there every day, so that's a start. You know, he's been one of my senior leader guys that I'm kind of leaning on a little bit. He's in a leadership role. He knows that. When he played last year, he was one of our better defensive players. Just, you know, had the injury bug last year. Not a whole lot you can do with that. So, you know, 8 practices into it, he's had really good work and like where he's at.
Dana, are coaches' kids different when they get here than other kids? You've talked about it a little bit before.
Yeah, evidently, yeah, they are. Obviously, they are. I've got a soft spot for those kids. You'll see my kid running around here all the time. And the point is they're just always around. So they always see things, they hear things, they probably see and hear things that they shouldn't at that specific age. I remember Logan coming to me back in 2011. He snuck to the weigh-in when Kurlav was down over there, and he came back, and his eyes were really, really, really wide. He was like, "Dad, you know, I know. I didn't say you could go down there now." But they hear a lot of things, they see a lot of things, they absorb a lot of things, and when they get to a situation like this, there's not a whole lot that they can't handle.
I know the players aren't focused on this, but with your analysts and all that and getting ready for a completely new set of people in Tennessee,
Yeah.
How important is that, and how early do you guys dig in on a level that the players don't see it?
Yeah, the scouting report is done. It's been done for about a month. You know, so there's a book on my desk. I haven't looked at it yet. There's an offensive book on my desk that thick, and a defensive book on my desk that thick, and a special teams book on my desk that thick of just as much information as they've been able to gather. It's going to be valuable on Sundays after a game. You know, the first game we get 2 weeks. We prepare for our opponent 2 weeks before the first game, which is going to be a week from tomorrow. So when we come in a week from tomorrow, it's going to be an off day, and I'm going to open that book, and we're going to start diving into it. It's going to save coaches a lot of time, but you know, there's going to be a lot of information in there that we probably wouldn't have been able to get if we didn't have somebody, you know, that was constantly doing it all summer and throughout camp as well.
Do you find the guys bring their system, or do they change personnel? Because I mean, obviously the guys Jeremy's working with at Tennessee aren't exactly the Alabama crew, and vice versa on offense.
Jeremy's a good coach. I mean, what good coaches do is they take a little of both. I mean, they take what they believe in and they implement it, and then they take what they have and they kind of merge the two of them. So how much is going to be 100% what they do and 100% of what they need to fit to the players they have, I don't know yet. We'll do our best to try to figure that out.
Interesting first quarter.
Yeah, it always is. It always is. And, you know, even last year, I mean, we had a pretty good idea what Bud Foster was going to do and what Fuente was going to do. And there's still some new stuff mixed in with it that you got to kind of figure out. That's first game anyway.